how do I build a podcast? How do I edit a podcast? What's the post-production process like? How long does it take? What is the effort required? I thought I would just provide my process for anyone who wants it. So we're going to focus specifically on the editing, the post-production process. I will start by saying that I use Riverside to actually record, and the reason for that is because it has several beneficial tools. Once a podcast is recorded, it'll build out a transcript, it'll have all your tracks right here, and then you have a bunch of these AI tools over here. And this is the main reason I use Riverside for recording. So there is this remove pauses tool, and that allows you to just like cut out any silences in your podcast. And then this remove filler words will cut out any filler words that are in your podcast. Find fluff will recommend things to cut based on redundancies, things you've already said. Oftentimes I will take its recommendations because they are accurate. And then you have these smart layouts, which basically, if you have multiple speakers especially, it's very handy. It'll basically automatically switch the video for you to whichever speaker is speaking. And it will also sometimes use a split screen when both people are speaking, or if one person is giving a very animated expression when another person is speaking. And that just makes your retention better, because the more dynamic, the more is happening on screen, the more likely people are going to stay engaged. So it's very good for retention to have like multiple camera angles, multiple screenshots, things of that nature. And then this tool will fix eye contact so that you're always looking at the camera. And it is actually scarily good how well it works. I don't use it all the time, but I have used it a few times, and it works very well. I've been very impressed with it every time I use it. And then we have something here called Magic Audio. And this basically just enhances the vocals, it takes out the background noise, and basically it polishes for a very studio-produced podcast sound. I don't actually use this because I use a different tool, which I will get to in a minute, but you can generally use this to pretty good effect. So what I do as soon as the podcast is recorded is I come in here, I take out the pauses, I take out the filler words, take out the fluff, I add the smart layouts, and then I will actually watch the podcast front to back, make any adjustments needed as I'm going through it. These AI tools are not perfect. They will need some tweaking, and that's what you're looking for as you're going through the podcast. There will be things it takes out that it shouldn't have, and there will be things that it misses that it should take out. You can see here, I have been pretty aggressive in removing any pauses because I am optimizing for shorts down the line. Ultimately, I'm going to use my podcast to create shorts. And in shorts, you don't want any dead air because people will swipe away. Our attention spans have gotten so short, so people will swipe away if there's a pause. It's kind of the same about podcasts as well. You need to keep it going. You need a steady cadence. Otherwise, people are going to drop off. So I am very aggressive about getting rid of pauses and filler words and things of that nature. And so if I'm doing an hour-long podcast and I'm going through it and being very aggressive about that, it can take 3 or so hours to actually get through the podcast. Once that is done and I am satisfied with that, I will export it and I will put it into Adobe Enhance. And this is basically the same thing as the Magic Audio I mentioned earlier, but I like it a lot better. I feel like it does a much better job. And I like to use about 65% speech enhancement and 22% background removal. This makes the sound very crisp, very clear. It makes the vocals still sound natural, and it doesn't sound overly produced. It just makes things very robust and rich. Between uploading, adding the effect, and downloading for an hour-long podcast, that might take somewhere between 10 to 20 minutes. Once that's done, I will actually pop that version back into Riverside, and then I will listen to the podcast again and add subtitles to it, because I have found that the subtitles seem to be more accurate once it's gone through Adobe Enhance. I think because it's cleaning up that audio, it makes it easier for the Riverside AI to understand the words. And so it just does a bit better with subtitles once it's gone through Adobe Enhance. So I will actually go through the podcast again, watch the subtitles, and fix anything. It definitely goes faster than the audio editing does, but it still is time consuming. And to be clear, I love subtitles. I believe that they should be on everything. So that is why I am including subtitles in even the long form, hour-long podcasts. Not everyone does that. Very few people do that, actually. And it may seem stupid because there is auto-generated subtitles on almost every platform now. But I prefer to have my subtitles because I know they're accurate. I know exactly what it's saying, and I know that people are getting what I'm actually saying. Whereas auto-generated subtitles can be very hit or miss, very hit or miss. So I like to have that human touch and make sure it is all accurate. So that's another 1.5 to 2 hours for an hour-long podcast. And then once that's done, I will export it. I will throw it into Premiere Pro. I will add maybe some lighting and color corrections. I will add my intro and my outro. I will add transition effects for all the chapters. I do like to break my podcast into chapters so that people who don't have time to listen to the whole thing can listen specifically to what they want to listen to. And I think it also helps with search. Chapters allow you to hit for more like keywords and search queries than if you didn't include chapters. So it's good for discoverability, honestly. Once that is done, it can be exported and uploaded to any of your platforms. That is basically my podcast post-production process in a nutshell. For an hour-long podcast, the editing process can take up to 6 hours, but that is because I am super aggressive about the pauses, the filler words. I am super aggressive about the subtitles. If you aren't doing any of that, you can still have a polished, professional sounding podcast just by taking the raw Riverside file, and you can either use their magic audio tool or you can download it and throw it into Adobe Enhance. Either way, you can have a professional sounding podcast in 30 minutes. So for people who ask me like, how long does it take? What is the effort? It really depends on your goals. If you're doing it more for yourself and for people who know you, or if it's for like some sort of program that you run, not necessarily to reach maximum distribution or be picked up by people who don't know you, then you really don't need to do much editing at all. Honestly, I would say you can run it through Adobe Enhance and probably upload it. But if you are trying to maximize views and retention, you will probably want to put more time into the editing process, and that can take even 5 to 6 hours. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to put them in the comments. I will be happy to answer them. And thank you for checking me out.